What's up, everybody? It's B-Doll again, and you know what? I've been away for a minute, but I feel like there's a lot of subjects to talk on right now when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. But first off, let's actually get to AEW Full Gear and talk about this show, okay? Because it's a very long show to talk about, so let's get right into it. And I guess we should start off with the pre-show, or you can call it Collision, you can call it Tailgate Brawl. It's the pre-show, basically, before AEW Full Gear. And man, this is another marathon show, but hey, you already know how AEW works at this point when it comes to pay-per-views, okay? So I'm just going to run past these pre-show matches because I'll be honest, there's literally nothing to talk about here, so let's just get past it. I don't blame anybody that didn't even watch the pre-show because you missed nothing, but we'll get to the last match in a second. There was a $200,000 match, which was kind of odd. I can't even say odd at this point. It's just common knowledge of doing money matches at this point, which they're having a $1 million match happening later on the main show. But no, let's put random 4 tag teams in there and put 200 grand on the line. At this point, when it comes to AEW with Tony Khan, when it comes any of these weird tag, fatal 4-way or 8-man, 4-man, whoever it is, men, women, whatever. Basically, they got to put some crazy amount of money on the line. Why is this on the pre-show? I have literally no clue. The only thing I could take from this is what? It was Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, which is not the Acclaim yet, but they're building it back to be the Acclaim. Bullet Club Gold of Juice Robinson and Austin Gunn. Ace Austin was out there with them. Big Bill and Brian Keefe versus the Outrunners with Dalton Castle. Honestly, I kind of forgot Dalton Castle is really still around in this company, but he's with the Outrunners nowadays, and he was on commentary. Listen, all I can say is that Bullet Club Gold won. That's it, okay? And that they're still teasing the Acclaim to come back together as a team. Other than that, there's nothing really to talk about here. Why is it $200,000 on the line? I have no idea what all these fake or prize money or... Then again, Tony Khan is a billionaire, so I guess he just got money to burn like that for people to win these money matches, which is just every other week at this point. But let's move on to the next pre-show match. The Big Show, we haven't seen him. Paul White was on commentary as they brought in Big Boom AJ, basically the Costco guys, or the team of Boom and Doom. And given this is New Jersey, this is their home state, so they actually were over here. I don't know why they keep bringing these guys back, but I guess people like to see them back. And what do they have? The Rizzler and the Big Justice Kid, which somebody told me at this point, it's just a dad and his 2 fat kids out there that just go on Costco and eat a bunch of food half the time. But it was, like I said, it was Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall versus Roppongi Vice of Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero. Don Callis is on comp. Well, you're going to be seeing a lot of Don Callis throughout this entire show. But, yeah, what do I have to say about this match? The crowd was with the Big Boom AJ. I don't know how they keep getting matches for these pay-per-views. I really wonder. This dude made the All-In last time I checked, right? Yeah, he was actually on the All-In card. So, I know it was the pre-show, but he still made it to that stage. But, listen, all I know is they sent the Big Justice Kid in, and he did like a stunner or like a... Oh, no, he did a diamond cutter on Rocky Romero. And I know the fans chanted boom. And then I think Trent Beretta grabbed the Big Justice Kid. And then there's the other kid that just rubs his chin a lot, the Rizzler. And then Big Show got off the commentary table and he hit his knockout punch onto Trent. And then I guess they did a double team move. I think it was like a blockbuster or something. And they won the match. Why? I don't know why they keep bringing these Costco guys. But I have no idea why they must be over, according to Tony. Or people want to see them. I have no idea. But they were over here because they're from over in the New Jersey area. So I guess that really helps them out there. But I guess they couldn't bring the chicken bake or the double chocolate cookie. Eddie Kingston and Hook went against the Workhorsemen. This match was literally a minute. Eddie Kingston and Hook won. I have nothing to say about that. I swear to God, I thought Eddie just wrestled in his whole shirt. This dude wrestled with a hat on, it looked like at one point. He just did like a couple moves in a DDT, and that was it. Like, I was like, did you just wrestle in street clothes? Like, he didn't even get his gear. Like, it kind of looked like that. And then we actually get to the last pre-show match, which once again, they kind of doing this whole thing of, we're going to do a pre-show match, but it's going to transfer into the main pay-per-view. I'm not against this all the way. I know some say it looked weird last time because they had Pyro go off during the tag match. I don't think you should do it all the time, though. maybe sometimes, but don't do it all the time, or it's just gonna get kind of common because, like, okay, we know it's not a lot of time in the pre-show, so it's basically just gonna go into the main show, and it's kind of crazy to say this because it's Okada, Takeshita, and Hechicero versus Mystico, Mascara Dorada, and Neon for the CMLL tag titles. And I'm sitting there looking at this, like, first off, Okada on a pre-show is just literally insane to me. And Konosuke Takeshita is the IWGP World Champion. Listen, I know this isn't a New Japan show, but last time I checked, I thought the IWGP World title is one of the most prestigious titles in all of wrestling, and you got this on a damn pre-show? That's insane to me. But I don't have much to say. Like, the match is going, and Okada looked like he couldn't make it to the show. So they show him pulling up in a cardigan, which he already has his gear on, getting out, taking his time, and, still kind of getting dressed. And the pre-show ended from there. So when the pre-show ended, basically we went to the main show. So basically it just transferred in. Because remember, the pre-show's on TNT. So now it's on pay-per-view time. And Okada ended up showing up later on and did his whole entrance with pyro and all this stuff. So all I can say is that Okada ended up flipping off to Takeshita and then even start beating him up. And, Hechicero said, I need y'all to work together. But I guess Mystico got the win or something. Yeah, Hechicero got pinned, okay? Listen, Okada Takeshita was never going to get pinned here. Okay, it is what it is. That's all I can really say about this. Not much to take from here. So it just pushes the story with Okada and Takeshita, and I'm sure they're going to have a match later on and just infighting within the Don Callis family. But we actually move to the main show now. The first match we kick off the show is with Pac and Darby Allin. Darby Allin had his ribs taped up in his right arm, given what happened back at Blood and Guts, which, I said this last Wednesday when watching the show, which is kind of crazy. Because I said this about Hangman Page, like, nobody from Blood and Guts looked like they sold any of their injuries or any scars, no battle scars, no type of wounds, no taped up, or even, no rib tape, none of that. They weren't taped up, no bandages, nothing. It looked like nothing even happened the week before. Everybody just kind of came out like nothing happened. Like, I actually had to give Hangman Page credit. At least he sold his injuries at the time when going against Hobbs with that whole match from Blood and Guts, and he was kind of taped up last Wednesday. Everybody else from Blood and Guts, like Moxley and all of them, nobody wasn't taped up, like the men or the women. Like, none of them were. They just kind of came out like it was regular. But Darby, who did get thrown to a table of fire at that show, he went against Pac. And I got to say, man, the one thing I could take out of this match was that Pac was just throwing Darby Allin all over the place like a sack of potato on roller skates out here. Just throwing him, military pressing him from the apron onto the ground. I know some people expect him to throw him onto the table like Cesaro, but he basically threw him to the ground right there, slingshot him into the ropes, which he just kind of went through the ropes like into the turnbuckle through it and just fell to the ground, like just head first damn near into it, throwing him against the ropes, slingshotting him there. Fans started to chant, "You can't kill him," then. I know Darby had like a chair on the floor at one point and like did a drop kick on the Pac to the outside, which is pretty crazy. That old Pac tried to put him in the brutalizing him after that, but Darby got out of it. He put him in the Scorpion Deathlock then right after. Next thing you know, Wheeler Yuta came out and distracted the ref. Pac ended up using Sting's bat and hitting Darby Allin with it and winning the match from there. I actually enjoyed this match. I actually thought this was a solid opener. The finish, that looked like it could have just been for like TV or something. But I guess, like I said, just pushes whatever the feud still with Darby and Death Riders and whatnot. So Pac getting a win, which I don't even remember the last time Pac won a singles match. Ever since he came back, so I can't really think of the numbers on that one. But like I said, Pac got the win. Some say could have done more without the whole distraction finish and whatnot. But like I said, it just furthers the feud. But I actually like this match, though. At least it's kind of, at least something different with Darby. We know he can wrestle out there. It's different from just doing all the crazy, hardcore, wild stuff that we've seen in the past few months. Like, we know he's done all the time, but I feel like in the past few months, it's just been some crazy, wild, hardcore match on pay-per-view. And don't get me wrong, we're going to get into the next crazy, hardcore matches, even though we just had Blood and Guts last week. We're going to be pushing more hardcore matches. But moving on after that, we then had a fatal 4-way women's tag match. Tag match to determine a stipulation and a turn. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, man. This match could have been on Dynamite or something. I was halfway paying attention to this because let me get this straight. We're doing a fatal 4-way tag match, which the women who are in this tournament and whoever wins this match right here gets to pick the stipulation and the semi-final. Why are we doing stipulation matches for a tournament for? That doesn't even make any sense. I feel like this was just to get them on the card. That's all this really was. Like the teams that are in the semifinals right now. Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa, Marina Shafir, and Megan Bain. Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale and Julia Hart and Sky Blue. I don't really have much to say from this. I did pay at least a little bit more attention to the match later on, which actually is getting pretty good because halfway I just didn't really care. I don't even know why this was really even on the card. Like I said before, why are we doing a stipulation match to be in a tournament? That doesn't make sense. It ended up with Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa winning. Storm ended up pinning Harley Cameron, I think, like from an inside cradle and whatnot. So, and I guess I remember they were saying something on Wednesday because it was like a 3-hour Dynamite. I think they were talking about some hardcore match. Like, I hope not. Like, you guys just did a blood and guts match like over weeks ago. Why do we need more hardcore matches? And looking for what I saw in this match, like, it was what it was, okay? So it's like, I wouldn't really pay that much attention to, like, halfway later on because I was kind of wondering, like, why is this on the card once again? And why are we doing stipulation matches for a tournament? That doesn't make a lot of sense. So this was just to get on the card, honestly. Next, which I actually thought was the best match out of the entire night, was Brodito versus FTR for the tag team titles. This was great. Really great. And the crowd was definitely with it. I feel like this was when the crowd was at its hottest throughout the entire night, too. Because there was a lot of crazy stuff in this match, which, you know, it was a lot of near falls. And yeah, I really did enjoy this match. I did think it was a little bit too many near falls, but as my friend Shaggy would say, this is AEW, so you know they just do crazy amount of near falls in almost every match half the time where it's way too many and doesn't really need to be. But like I said, there was a lot of crazy stuff in this match. FTR doing like a Doomsday or like the Power and Glory spot and whatnot, and then like what was it? Not Dax, but Cash jumping off the top rope and like Bandito catching him going to a fallaway slam, which was pretty crazy. I know he had like a 21 plex onto Dax, but Cash ended up breaking it out. You know, Stokely's trying to get involved in the match, ended up sacrificing himself or whatnot, crashing to the floor. What else did they do in this? I was like out in the 21 plex thing, you know, Bandito trying to hit on Wheeler, Dax stopping him then. They end up hitting, which by the way, like he hit the, I thought it was kind of crazy. He hit the Shatter Machine, not Shatter Machine, but the 21 plex on the like Cash, but then immediately right after, FTR hits the Shatter Machine on Bandito, which was still a kick out. I know Wheeler tried to use the title as a weapon at one point, which Brody King grabbed it, but he ended up hitting Bandito with the title, which was still another kick out at the end right after. They ended up hitting Brody King with the Shatter Machine, but once again, it was another kick out there right after that. Bandito and Brody King set up for their finisher, and I think it was still another kick out there. Like I said, it's a lot of kick outs in this match, so expect a lot of near falls here. But then, like, you know, FTR, they ended up being like a spike pile driver onto Brody King off the apron because, you know, Cash was like trying to choke out Brody King. But like I said, they hit the spike pile driver from there. And then right after they had another spike pile driver onto Bandito, which was still another kick out. And the crowd was just going nuts for this entire match then. And then Bandito just struggled to get to his feet and just like put up like the two, you know, just the middle fingers and whatnot, saying F you to FTR. And then FTR hit one more Shatter Machine on them to win the tag team title. So FTR once again wins the tag belts. Like I said, I think this was the best match of the night. I still say that from right here to the rest of the show. Like, I really do believe that. This was, I feel like, where the crowd was at its hottest, and everybody was going nuts for this match. So, I definitely enjoyed it. Like I said, it was a little bit too many near falls, but hey, this is AEW. What do you expect from this? But probably my favorite match of the entire night. Next was a casino gauntlet match for the AEW National Championship. I know it's a lot of controversy going on with this title. I know the NWA is not really happy, and I've seen several NWA wrestlers basically just express their opinion, just saying like, hey, we got the real national title, not AEW. My question is, why does AEW need another championship belt? We have enough titles. And then again, when I heard Tony talk about the concept of this belt, it's basically like what was it first? The All Atlantic belt. Then it was the international belt, but then that got combined to be the the whole unified title and stuff with the Continental International. So why do we need another championship? I really don't know why we need another one. I don't. It's enough belts in this company. It really is. Whether it be AEW, Ring of Honor titles, or even the damn CMLL or like IWGP titles from New Japan, it's way too many titles on this show, let alone with AEW and Ring of Honor, however you want to count that as. Hell, I should say, I don't even know if Bandito's even still the damn Ring of Honor champion. Now, to my knowledge, I don't even know, because he didn't even come out with the belt, even though he was like a double champion with the tag belts. But this Casino Gauntlet Battle Royale, I looked in, it's like, going into this, like I said before, I don't know why they need another belt. What is the point of this? This is like, what, a 7th, 8th, 3rd tier belt. So I wonder how many people are going to care much about this. So we had the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royale. The first two people was the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin. I know Bryan Danielson was actually back on commentary for this, because I think we had Nigel McGuinness till, they ended up taking him off and putting Danielson on there. But yeah, Lashley and Shelton were out there first. I actually thought they were about to go at it, but immediately the clock just started going down. Ricochet came out to do promo time and stuff. Next thing you know, he sent the rest of the Demand out there to beat up the Hurt Syndicate. And then Ricochet just starts beating up MVP. And then, why is this feud still continuing? Literally have no idea. And then, I don't know. And then, like, here's the thing. Like, if anything kind of goes in this match, why did they leave? I guess the referee told them to go away, and MVP had to go to the back. But, I thought this was like a no DQ match or something, given how everything is going. But, they already attacked them, so I don't know. Number 4 was Claudio, who came through the crowd. I know he ended up taking out Ricochet with an uppercut. 5 was Daniel Garcia. Like I say, you get more Death Riders out there. They're taking out Ricochet and beating him up. 6 was Orange Cassidy. What was it? Cassidy was going after Garcia out there. Claudio ended up grabbing Cassidy from his pants and just kind of throwing him somewhere in after that. What else? Like, Cassidy in the damn Slumdog Millionaire thing and onto I think it was Claudio, and knocked him out of the ring. 7 was Wheeler Yuta, some more Death Rider stuff out here. Which he came through all the Death Riders came through the crowd and everything. And they all started beating up Orange Cassidy then and stuff. And, even they did like a whole thing where they threw him into the corner and did elbows on him. And Ricochet joined in, like, said, hey, man, that's what's up. We just got him and everything. And then the Death Riders just started jumping him then after, because, like, united in the crew and stuff. I actually thought that was funny. Number 8 was Kevin Knight coming out there just leaping all over the place, taking down the Death Riders then. 9 was Roderick Strong. He basically went after, like, Garcia and everybody, going after the Death Riders out there, taking them out. 10 was Mark Davis. I think he was the only person from the Don Callis family in this match, so he was out there. 11 was Speedball, hitting multiple kicks on Davis, then taking him out of the ring. I think DDT'ing him right after. Right after that, Kevin Knight and Speedball tried to pin him right after the same time, but they both stood up. They started going back and forth with each other, dodging each other's moves and everything, until Garcia ended up coming from behind, attacking both of them. Number 12 was Save Big Money at Menards, Matt Menard, who immediately went after Garcia and chased him and fought him into the crowd and everything ever since he betrayed him and stuff. And then next thing you know, they had Claudio, Mark Davis, and then Lashley and Shelton Benjamin returned to the match finally. And as they all started punching each other, then they just basically the Hurt Syndicate started beating the hell out of everybody in the ring at this point. They just took out anybody that got in their way, suplexing them all over the place, throwing Ricochet around and stuff, taking down Claudio, taking down Death Riders, taking down Mark Davis. They just beat the hell out of anybody out there. Take down Cassidy. They just, like, the Hurt Syndicate just started dominating at one point. And then, like, I think it was like Yuta. I think he was either Kevin Knight or something, but Kevin Knight ended up taking out Yuta then. I think he hit him with, like, the UFO splash, but then Ricochet took Kevin Knight out with the Spirit Gun move, and Ricochet got the pin. So I didn't even know how many people was even going to be in this Casino Battle Royale. Once again, I don't see what the point is for this new title, which I guess in Ricochet's case, given for what he's done in AEW, they gave him something. Okay? They did give him something. There was some story in this match between whatever, groups or feuds that's going on, but I'll at least say they gave Ricochet something. Do I really care much for this national title? Not really. Do I think they needed this belt? No, not at all, but they given him something at least. I feel like they should maybe give him something a little bit bigger. As my friend Shaggy would say, they could have probably given them like the damn 6-man belts because like the Ops ain't doing nothing with them right now, but they gave him this new title belt. So we'll see where this goes. I don't know. And I guess hopefully they stop feuding with the Hurt Syndicate because I'm sick of seeing that myself anyways. I'd rather have Lashley be going after the World Championship. But I don't even think that's happening anytime soon right now. So we'll get back to that another time. Next, we get to a no-holds-barred match. Jon Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly. And by God, Bryan Danielson, I gotta say, man, him on commentary just trying to do his best to saying, it's illegal strikes and everything in this match. This is a hardcore match. This is all that is. Which, once again, why do we need another hardcore match given we just saw one last week in a blood and guts match with both of these two and they bled all over the place? Because, 4 minutes into the match, we had forks in this match and Moxley stabbing Kyle O'Reilly in his head, which bled all over the place then. They use that fork a lot. Even just jabbed it into, he grabbed the fork and started stabbing O'Reilly in, his nipple and everything. So he's trying to get him to bleed from there. And I know they fought to the floor then. And I guess O'Reilly ended up throwing him. It's like the ring post. Then Moxley starts bleeding in. And then, O'Reilly's doing his best to get Moxley to tap, put him into the ankle lock, trying to go to a triangle choke and stuff. But Moxley grabbed the fork again, starts stabbing O'Reilly and stuff after that. So it's a lot of stabbing with the fork. And like I said, fucking Bryan, man, he's trying to make this sound like it's some great technical wrestling match out there. No, this is just basically another hardcore match, except less weapons this time, in a way. But O'Reilly ended up bringing in a log chain in right after. And I thought this was funny in this match. O'Reilly had the chain, right? And at one point, Moxley does a curb stomp on the O'Reilly with the onto the chain, and then the fans start singing Seth Rollins' theme song, whoa, all that whole thing. So it's kind of funny in a way. It's like, wait a minute, why did you Seth Rollins' theme song? He started singing that because he did a curb stomp. So it's like, who is this match about here? So I thought that was pretty funny, but Moxley started taking the chain, and he started wrapping it around O'Reilly's neck, trying to put him into the bulldog choke, but O'Reilly gets out of it then, and Moxley's still trying to put him back in there. And I know he got a chair at one point and put it around O'Reilly's arm and started stomping on it then, taking out his arm. And then he had a Death Rider and tried to go up on an arm bar right after, but O'Reilly got out of it then and transferred to an ankle lock. So I guess you can't grab to the ropes. And it ended up with Moxley tapping again. So this is the third time Moxley has tapped in the past month or two. He's already tapped the Darby. He's now tapped the Kyle O'Reilly 2 times. I guess at some point the Death Riders are going to turn on Moxley because he's tapped out several times now. And somebody is going to be taking the position as the leader, it looks like. So yeah, O'Reilly, and Moxley's doing his best to get O'Reilly over, I guess, at this point. I don't know why. It's kind of come out of nowhere, because it's not like they really push Kyle O'Reilly as a top contender right now, okay? They really haven't. He's been more into a comedy team of the conglomeration than being a top guy right now going for a main championship. But, Moxley's he's doing his best to try and, I guess, elevate him and stuff and whatnot. So we'll see if and I guess it's going to continue now because Moxley, he was pissed off. He looked at O'Reilly. I thought it was kind of nodding his head like a sign of respect and everything. But immediately right after, as Moxley and Shafir were going to leave, they ran back to the ring. And Moxley just starts beating the hell out of Kyle O'Reilly right after. And then the rest of the Death Riders. Which here's the thing I don't get right here. How come the Death Riders didn't come out and help Moxley in this match like usual? We saw Wheeler Yuta come out and help Pac earlier in the night. Hell, we even saw the Death Riders in the damn, battle royale and everything. how come we didn't see them come help Moxley in a no DQ match? Because, like, that's when everybody started coming out running and everything. So, how come we didn't see any of these guys out there? So, and it looks like it's going to continue. It's going to keep continuing because it's like the never-ending story. It's never going to end. Why? I don't know. But, like I said, this was just another hardcore match. And here's another thing. Instead of trying to spread things out and letting shit breathe, we're going to do another hardcore match. A no DQ match. A no DQ, no count out match. We literally just had a no holds barred match. Now we have a no DQ match. What difference does it make? Nothing much, really. It's just going to keep going and going and going. But yeah, as we go on to the next hardcore match, as I was just saying, Kyle Fletcher. We got a lot of Kyles on this show. Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe for the TNT Championship. So yes, we don't let stuff breathe, so we got to go into another hardcore match after we just saw a hardcore match. And Kyle's was back on commentary again, and looking at the video package before this match, I sat there and said, like, because his thing, if Briscoe lost this match, he would have to join the Don Callis family. And given what I saw on the screen, and even paying tribute to Jay Briscoe, his brother, I figured he had to win this match right here, okay? Now, yes, it's going to be another one of these things where it's going to get another crazy, which, here's the thing, everything we kind of see right here is almost like we just saw last week in Blood and Guts. So what's the difference in a lot of this given what we just saw the week before? We saw already enough hardcore crazy stuff. So we're getting it again. And some people are probably numb to this because it's almost like it's on the regular at this point. So what more can you do that's going to impress? Like, how can you outdo what you did the week before? That's basically what this is. It's a game of one-upsmanship. I say it with Moxley and Darby all the time. Who can one-up the more crazy hardcore match here? So I know Briscoe had a chair and threw it at Fletcher, like Sabu and everything, and even put him there, hit like a brain bust onto the chair. Fletcher got him with. I know they had a ladder in this match. Briscoe had charged with a cannonball, but he landed onto the ladder, crashing and burning right after. Fletcher had another ladder into like the corner. Briscoe started bleeding in right after. Fletcher like he suplexed him. Well, he self superplexed onto like the ladder then, like draped into the ropes and stuff. Knocking Briscoe down. I know that, like I said, they set up the ladder then right after. They had tables in this match. They had a chair. Getting in there and everything, too. I know they put the table into the ring. I think it was like Briscoe, he had a chair, hit Fletcher with it. And I think Briscoe went to the top. Yeah, he went to the top rope. He went to up the ladder and did a froggy bow off the ladder, while Fletcher was on the ladder, onto the table for a 2 count. I know Fletcher, he got up and started yelling at a fan in, and I think he spat at him. And then they had chairs onto the floor then, and then Briscoe got a chair, threw it at Fletcher. But there's a lot of chair throwing here in this match. So we got a lot of chairs in this match. You know, Callis got off from the table then, ended up shoving Mark Briscoe off the top rope then onto like a table to the floor right after. So that happened. Fletcher hit him like a kick in right after that and tried to throw Briscoe to the table, but Briscoe got out of it, and he ended up hitting the J drill in the end. And I know he like threw him into the table after, so I know that happened. Then we had thumbtacks, which I'll be honest, man, I roll my eyes every time I see thumbtacks at this point. I just see too many thumbtacks in wrestling all the time. So they had thumbtacks right after, and then Briscoe, like, he put some tacks, like Fletcher put the tacks into Briscoe's mouth and then kicked them right after that. So that happened. And then there was a barbed wire table under the ring. So they brought that in. Like I said, we're just getting more crazier and crazier in this match. So I think I already talked about the whole going off the top rope onto the table and stuff. With the ladder. Once again, I said it's still a 2 count. Yeah, it was a barbed wire table they brought too. I already said that. And then it's the screwdriver then Callis brings into the ring. And they start doing the whole screwdriver stuff, which, you know, Briscoe blocked it, but then Fletcher kicked him in the nuts and started stabbing him in the head with the screwdriver right after. And then they went to the top rope again and had the screwdriver, but it was kind of pointed upwards and stuff. Like he was going to brain bust him onto the screwdriver while I was sticking up. Probably would have killed somebody, honestly. And whatnot. But Briscoe was able to get out of it and him with his own brain buster and get the screwdriver up out of there then. And then, like, Briscoe hit, like, raises edge like the barbed wire table, and then he hit the Jay Driller for the win. So I think my friend Shaggy said it best. If it wasn't for the story with this match, this was just another hardcore match. Because at first I was actually surprised he had another match like this going, honestly. I really didn't think it was going to happen. But given the many matches they've been having with both of you, it's like you had another bloodbath then. So you just had another bloodbath before, so now you had even crazier bloodbath with this hardcore match. Which, once again, like I said, I think that, and then again, they did kind of rushed into the next match right after Briscoe won, after the celebration and anything. So we didn't get that much time for him to like celebrate within this match. Right after, but I don't know what the scoreboard is between Fletcher and Briscoe, but they've had multiple matches now, and Briscoe finally got the big win. So I am glad to see Mark Briscoe get the big win right here, and doing it for his brother and everything, Jay and whatnot. Did it need to be this crazy of a hardcore match? No, it really didn't. You just had blood and guts the week before, and it doesn't really help when you literally, the last match was just a damn hardcore, no DQ, no holds barred. It's the same thing. Like I said earlier, it's the same freaking thing. So what difference does it make? But Briscoe won, so good for him. Next, and this is the point where I'm just kind of like looking at the time. And listen, in my time zone, it's like 10 o'clock. So this show wasn't going off for me until like 11:30. Some people I know, this show didn't go off until 12:30. But next, we get a 6-man tag match. Oh, shit. Choking right here. A 6-man tag match for $1 million. Kenny Omega and the Jurassic Express versus Josh Alexander and the Young Bucks for $1 million. Don Callis is on commentary again. They even had a Wheel of Fortune type of intro for the Young Bucks. The Broke Bucks, as they call them right now. And I'm going to be honest, when I saw this match, it's like the same spot fest you would see every other time with a Young Bucks match. And I think everybody knows how this is going to go. I think everybody knows how this match is going to go. You don't even have to pay much attention to this match, and you know how it's going to go. So I'm not going to really kind of talk about all the spots within this match, because they even had a whole long after in this match, too, which got a lot of time. So I don't know, what do you want me to say here? And it's like it's another one of these friendship betrayal storylines, and honestly, Kenny Omega just can't even get out of this damn like vortex of either with the Young Bucks or the Don Callis at this point. It's like he's just in the same storyline with a majority of these people, and it's been like that for a while now. Okay, so obviously the crowd did like this later on. I know it was like a lot of crazy spots out there. Josh trying to hit Omega with the ankle lock and everything, and like Josh was bleeding and stuff, and then like the Bucks, they ended up hitting the BT trigger onto Omega and stuff. They were very, very hesitant if they wanted to do that. I know basically Omega and Luchasaurus, like, they took off the Bucks, like, tried to like some doomsday device. Omega hit Josh with the one-winged angel onto the floor. The Bucks end up taking down Jack Perry with the BT trigger and winning the $1 million match. But then right after, the Callis family came out then to celebrate, and Callis made sure the Bucks had the money and everything and welcomed into the family and stuff. And as the Bucks and Callis left right after, like the rest of the Don Callis family, they're beating the hell out of Omega. And then the fans chanted, "You sold out" at the Bucks. I'm like, didn't they already do that a while ago? And then the Bucks basically dropped the money bags and, they headed back and helped out Omega and them take out the Callis family. And, it's friendship more than money. And then, like, the Jungle Express ended up shaking hands with the Bucks right after. And then they looked at Omega, and then the fans chanted, "Hug it out" right after. They were going to shake hands, but they all hugged, and Callis looked all pissed off. So, like I said, Kenny Omega can't get out of this friendship and betrayal storyline. Listen, they've been doing this since New Japan in like 2018 and 19, if I'm not mistaken. If everybody knows about that whole Bullet Club Elite Civil War with Kota Ibushi, hell, I can go back to Strong Style Evolve. What was it, 2018, if I'm not mistaken? When it was in, LA, and it was the Young Bucks versus the Golden Lovers out there. That's how far this storyline keeps going on. And like I said, Omega can't look like he can't really do anything different different than just being a feud with either Don Callis or the Young Bucks. And then we got to do like, are we friends? Are we not friends? Are we friends again? Some say this is the Triple H playbook too with some people in WWE when it comes to the whole friendship betrayal when it comes to booking. But we see this all the time with these guys. And it's to the point, like, why should I even really care about this? One, I've seen enough money matches within AEW right now. This one actually makes a little bit more sense here, given the story of the Young Bucks being broke and everything. So I can understand why they keep doing the money matches with them. Everybody else is just random at this point, and just like, why do we keep doing all these money matches for? And I even said it before, just put $1 million on the line. You've already gone $500,000 at 800,000, 700,000. Just go $1 million. Hell, go $2 million while we're at it. They love doing money matches anyway, so I don't know. Okay, and like I said, they had a lot going on after the post-match and stuff with Omega and the Bucks, and once again, are we friends? Are we not friends? We must get back together. I thought we were friends. We betrayed each other. Yada yada yada. Whatever. Like, it's the same thing. Like, and I said this. Like, can Kenny Omega feud with somebody else? Like, they don't have nobody else in this company for him to go against. Like, do something different. The Bucks. It is what it is. I have nothing really to say. I really don't. Where they put them, like, I guess they're faces again, so I don't really care that much. Same with the Jungle Express. Like, now they're gonna feud with the Callis family, so now I guess the Elite is gonna reform back together, and now they're gonna fight the Callis family. So that's what it looks like. What's going on? Like, let's remember, did these guys beat up Tony Khan like the Young Bucks? So should they be the biggest heels in the company, but now they're faces again with Omega? So I was like, this is one of those things where it's like, when I'm watching this show, it's like, all right, man, it's past 10 o'clock. Like, I'm not tired or anything, but the show's going way too long for me. And even you could tell with the crowd, they were starting to die down a little when it came to the next match. Next was Chris Statlander versus Mercedes Moné for the AEW Women's Championship, which this is the third time now Statlander... Phone's got a ring from out of nowhere all the time. You see that? You get a phone call, and then it just comes out of nowhere. But yeah, other than a phone call and stuff, like I said, the women's title was on the line. This is the third match between these two. The last one they had was, I believe, Full Gear of last year, which I feel like I like their first match out of all three of these matches. And this was a really good match, though. This was very solid. I feel like the crowd was kind of dead for this, because given it's the third match, Mercedes has 2 over Chris Statlander right now. I know they made their entrances. They send Mercedes out there with male strippers now with half of these meaningless titles, which I don't need to go into this. You already know what I'm going to say, so I'm not going to waste my time. I think I spoke enough of that in last review, and it's just funny to me at this point, which whatever random indie bit, like, who really gives a shit? I'm sure I pissed off some people by already saying that, but honestly, who really cares? Because that's a whole different other rant. But this match, though, this was really good. It's just the crowd was just pretty dead for it. What can I say about this? I know it's like several spots from Monet doing like a 14 Amigos out there. Statlander doing like an inverted backbreaker off the top rope. I know they were bringing up like Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko within this match too, about how they were using their moves and everything. Stat doing a 450, which Monet dodged and everything, and Statlander kept holding her arm throughout the entire match, which Monet focused on. There was another part where was it? I think it was like going off the apron or something. I think it was pretty cool, because like Monet, she dove off trying to hit a Meteora, and then Stat caught her and hit a power bomb, which was pretty crazy. I will say that, which was pretty crazy out there. So that was good, and it was going to be by count out, but Statlander threw her back in the ring after power bomb her onto the floor again, and brought her back in, hit her with a discus. Monet had a code breaker out there. When they were like dodging moves and stuff, and even like a sunset bomb, but Statlander came back with another clothesline right after. And when they tried to focus on the arm and everything, even the Stat hitting a belly-to-belly suplex, some say it was like just using Bailey's move and whatnot. But then put Monet into like the bank statement then right after that. Like I said, I know they were focused on Stat's arm, so Monet kept once again going back for her arm again, but Stat was able to get out of it. I know like it was like another pinfall attempt, and just trying to go back everything. Stat hitting like a damn package power driver, which was another 2 count by the way too. But Monet grabbed the rope at the last second, and I know they went to the turnbuckle then, which they kept flipping each other over trying to hit like a tombstone and everything. But Stat ended up catching Monet and hitting the Saturday Night Fever and winning the match. Listen, I think we all knew Stat was going to win, okay? I never thought Monet was going to win this match. Some believe she'll probably win the title when she drops the rest of these whatever belts at this point. It's only like 2 or 3 of these belts that really matter, because I know some are going to try to say like, oh, you bet she won this title and everything, and I can go to the, listen, you never heard of that promotion or whatever people they got over there. And I've already talked about the positives and negatives. You don't believe me? Go look at my last video when I reviewed Wrestle Dream. I kind of went over both of these things, okay? But I never saw Stat losing. Stat's already lost to Monet twice, so I figured Stat was going to win retain the title here. I never saw Monet was about to win this. Like, I didn't. And if she did win, I probably would have laughed hysterically at this then. And I'm sure everybody would be making the joke of, it doesn't work for me, brother. Oh, no, let's try that again. It doesn't work for me, sister. So I think we all know how that will go. Or creative control, or whatever you want to say. You've heard me speak on this multiple times. But as the match itself, though, like I said, this is a solid, really good match. It's just too damn long of a show. And you can tell how the crowd wasn't with this match all the way, too. I thought the match was really enjoyable. It's just the crowd was kind of dead for it after a while. It's not like they really spanned the Meteora a whole bunch of times in this match, but like I said, crowd was just pretty dead, but this was still a really good match, though. Solid stuff out there. But yeah, Stat retained the title. Next thing you know, I know they interviewed the Don Callis family and talking about the $1 million, and I guess now the Continental Classic is coming back, and basically Fletcher came in blaming the Callis family why you all didn't help me and everything. So he's going to be in the Continental Classic, so that's going to go on. And then next we have a cage match in the main event for the AEW World Title. Samoa Joe versus Hangman Page. Samoa Joe now has a bunch of random guys in Ops Dojo t-shirts. I have no idea who these people are. I think they were on the pre-show. Why are they with Samoa Joe? I have zero clue. And once again, you think we have there's so much blood on this show. I feel like 1/3 of the show has a lot of blood on this whole pay-per-view. It's a lot of blood here. And this is a cage match, which when you really think about it, we just had a blood and guts match, 2 blood and guts matches last week, right? So why would they make a cage match when you're already doing 2 blood and guts matches? And I said to myself when I saw this, how you going to outdo what you did in the blood and guts match? I know they weren't in it, but what you going to do to outdo that? And I feel like you really can't. And, you know, both Joe and Hangman was going at it out there. Both guys end up just bleeding heavily after being knocked into the cage several times. The ref was checking, Joe's head. I think you can see Hangman bleeding at one point, so both of these guys just bleeding all over the place. Joe hit a power slam right after, and whatnot. Page, he couldn't hit the buckshot due to being in the cage and everything, so he got out of the whole Coquina clutch and, taking down Joe. Joe tried to go for the muscle buster. Page got out of it, threw Joe into the ropes then, into the cage and whatnot. Next thing you know, Shibata came out climbing the cage then and grabbing the title right after. Eddie Kingston ended up stopping him as they both fought off to the back. Joe ended up taking out the referee, so it's a ref bump then. And then Hangman, he hit the dead eye in the Joe, but the ref was out, so he couldn't even get up. Hobbs came out then. And good to see Powerhouse Hobbs is alive after being electrocuted over a week ago. And he came in, he broke the chain off the door, got into the ring, going through the door of the cage and whatnot. Hobbs, he tried to hit Page with the belt, but he ducked after that. And then Hangman kicked him in the nuts right after. And then he ran Hobbs into the cage. Joe hit the Coquina clutch trying to choke out Hangman, but Hangman got out of it and knocked him to the exposed turnbuckle right after. And then he hit a buckshot lariat. Once again, the referee is still down, so nobody can't really pin anything. And then Hook came out, which I'll admit I didn't really see this coming. Hook came out, tried to wake up the referee, And then he picked up the title and hit Hangman when it took off the jacket and had an Ops t-shirt on. So Hook is still in the Ops with Samoa Joe, which I don't even know what Hook and Eddie Kingston been doing as a tag team on Collision at this point. I thought they were still going after Joe and them, but I guess now they just had Hook go back to Joe. And basically Samoa Joe hit a muscle buster on the Hangman Page, winning the world title. So I have no problem with Samoa Joe winning the world championship. I'm sure a lot of people say thank God, honestly. But given out this match, did Samoa Joe need all these people to beat Hangman Page? I know what we saw in the last match back at Wrestle Dream, but I had to sit there and say, okay, this is a steel cage match. You got all the Ops running around trying to help Joe, and now you got Hook back up there with him. So I'm like, okay, did Samoa Joe really need all this help to beat Hangman Page? Like, did he really need it? And some say this is like some Death Riders tactics now, because we already know how the Mox matches when he was the champion, and then just getting all these interferences. So I could see the similarities and all that too. But I have no problem with Samoa Joe being the world champion again. I liked it when Joe was the world champion before. It wasn't really that long, but I enjoyed it. So hopefully this is a longer reign than last time. So I think a lot of people are most likely happy with Samoa Joe being the world champion. And I know a lot of people really kind of went on Hangman's second reign. Some people believe his first reign was better than what he was the world champion right now. So I think this was a bit of an anticlimactic way of winning. And the pyro shot, went off right after. And then all these random Ops guys came out with the t-shirts on and celebrated with Joe. But then the lights went off. And I swear to God, I swear to you, I thought this was MJF coming out there to cash in his whole contract thing to win the world title. But it was Prince Nana. And then it was Swerve. Swerve returned with new music, by the way, too. I don't know how I feel about this music all the way. But I don't think they should have got rid of his regular music. But Swerve came out. We haven't seen him since Forbidden Door. He came out there with Prince Nana. And I guess like all the Ops guys, which they all stood out of the way at first. So Samoa Joe just like gave him an open way so he can get the Hangman Page to take him out. But Swerve ended up beating up all these Ops guys like they were the putties for the pot. It was like, 15 of these guys out there. And Swerve single-handedly just beat the hell out of like 10 to 15 guys. I don't know why they just didn't jump him right there in the ring. And they held him back at first after the first punch. But like I said, Swerve beat up like 15 guys out here by himself. And I know there was like Swerve's house chants right after. And Samoa Joe and like, Hobbs, Shibata, and Hook got up out of there at the end. And even Hangman hit one buckshot lariat onto like one of the Ops t-shirt guys. And that was the end of the show. It's good to see Swerve back. I'll say that. I guess what you said was two Swerves right here. You got Hook pulling Swerve by joining up with Joe again. And Swerve returning. And now him and Hangman look like they're going to be a team right now, given their whole history and stuff. So hopefully with Swerve being back, it brings some type of more excitement back to Dynamite, as my friend Shaggy would say. And I feel like this will be Samoa Joe's next opponent will be Swerve for the world title. Let's remember, Swerve beat Samoa Joe to become AEW world champion. So I guess Samoa Joe is going to have to get his win back on Swerve after Swerve beat him for the world title. I'm surprised we didn't see Eddie Kingston back out here helping, Swerve and them. Like, we saw him fight Shibata in the back, and that was the last time we saw him. But this main event, man, like, what do you want me to say, man? It is what it is. Something that was anticlimactic. I feel like it was a lot of overbooking in this match, just from the interferences, and then like Hook making the swerve right after. Like I said, I have zero problem with Samoa Joe being world champion. I'm sure a lot of people want Samoa Joe to be world champion right now again. Like anybody would say that. I'm sure the way it was done, maybe not the way people imagine it or whatever, but then the swerve stuff right after. So it was a lot going on in this main event. Honestly, it was a lot going on in this show. I think the show was okay. But once again, this show didn't go off until like 11:30 for me. So when it comes to AEW, it's a marathon of a pay-per-view. It's a marathon, okay? You're going to be there almost half the day. Like you really are. Or half the night, I should be saying, not half the day. But you get what I'm trying to say, though. But it's too long of a show. You need coffee to get through this show, or whatever you can do to stay up, adrenaline, whatever. I wasn't tired of anything of watching it, but, you know, after a while, when you've been watching wrestling for several hours, it's like, all right, man, how many matches we got left in this show? It goes on too long. So I can understand why nobody watches the pre-show. Because if you count the pre-show in my time zone, this show will be starting at 6 o'clock p.m. when the pre-show comes on, and doesn't go off till 11:30 p.m. Okay, and then again, AEW either tries to add matches at the last second, or some matches don't even need as much time as they needed. Me personally, out of all this show, I still feel like FTR versus Brodito was the best match on this show. I really did enjoy that tag match. I feel like the one least amount I could really care about in a way, or maybe thought was the worst, maybe between O'Reilly and Moxley to some extent. Just why did I need to see another hardcore match, or the Fatal 4-Way women's tag stipulation? I don't even think that needed to be on the show. Y'all could have threw that on Dynamite. Like, seriously, you could just throw on Dynamite and call it a day. So, the most I can really take from this show is that what? Hey, Samoa Joe's the world champion again. Good on that. Ricochet getting this new national title. I would at least say they gave him something, but once again, I don't think they needed a new championship. I don't know why we need another belt in this company. Like, we got too many belts as it is. FTR winning the tag titles was great also. So, it was some interesting things going on in this show, but it's just a marathon. You could probably have heard me say that millions of times now when it comes to AEW. It's just a marathon of a show, okay? It just goes on too long. And it's like, what, 4 or 5 hours of this stuff? So, I don't know. If you can stay up past midnight for this, then hey, God bless you. But it's just too long of a show. But other than that, that's all I really got to say about AEW Full Gear. Other than that, we're going to probably be back next week with a Survivor Series review, so we'll see how that goes. Trying to plan that out. But other than that, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys then. Comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at HoodNight890. Peace out.